Welcome to College Admissions Toolbox, giving you the edge you need to get into the colleges of your dreams, with your host, Steve Schwartz. That's me. Today, we're talking with Monica Matthews. So let's get started. Welcome to College Admissions Toolbox, Monica. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Steve?
Wonderful. Thanks so much for being on the show. Now, Monica, you got an incredible story. You actually helped your son win over $100,000 in college scholarships. That's incredible. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'm a mom of three. I've been married for close to 25 years. And when my oldest son started getting close to senior year, started looking at colleges, his first choice was MIT. And we looked at the amount that we were going to have to pay, or, what we thought we would have to pay to send him there. And my husband and I were like, oh no, how are we going to pay this? It kind of snuck up on us. All of a sudden, he was a senior and looking at colleges, and we had not saved any money for his college education. So that's kind of where we started with this whole thing.
Wow, that is really something else. So tell us a little bit about, how you ended, what was the process like that you went about in terms of getting these scholarships?
Well, what happened was when my son, he started applying for scholarships on his own, early deadline scholarships, because we found out pretty quickly that he didn't win. So there must have been a few scholarships, I know there were two, that he applied for. It must have been later in the summer before he started his senior year. And I was so sure that he would win them because he had a nice ACT score. He was a straight A student. He was an athlete. Why wouldn't he win these scholarships? So what happened was we got the rejects, or the letter saying he didn't win. And I thought, wait a minute, there's something going on here. This is the kind of student that does win scholarships. There must be something I can do to help him. So that's kind of like how we got started.
Take us through the steps that, we get from zero in scholarships to 100,000 in scholarships. To what extent, is it need-based versus merit-based? To what extent is it, it's not from the school? What are these external sources? What's the composition of that 100,000 look like?
I think it was like 17 different scholarships that he won. Some were from the school. Mostly were outside scholarships. Mostly were outside private scholarships that we just found and he applied for and he won. And let's take a step back though, because when he started off not winning these scholarships, I thought to myself, there has to be a better way. He is the kind of student that I know people pick to win scholarships. So what I started doing and how I really got involved is I started doing research about how can I help him? What do scholarship judges look for? How do I apply for a scholarship? What's the best way? What are the best tips? What can we do to make his application stand out? So I started doing all this research, and then we started working together. And right away I thought, aha, he does better with me and will apply for more scholarships when him and I are working together. When I would say, hey son, you need to write this essay. Here's the topic. I'll fill out the application. Or I found this scholarship for you. This is the deadline. This is what you need to do. 1, 2, and 3. So it's this whole teamwork approach that I'm really big on, and I've helped so many parents help their own students, because students aren't just, we see it on Twitter all the time. All my mom wants me to do is apply for scholarships. Oh my gosh, I have no time for this. I have no idea what I'm doing. My dad keeps bugging me. But I was working with my student. So that was a huge moment for us. And so because we were working together, he applied for lots and lots more, many more scholarships that he would have applied for on his own.
No, sure. That makes perfect sense. When you're in high school, you've got a ton going on. You've got your classwork, you've got, extracurriculars, you've got your standardized tests, and then you've also got to go beyond that and, research all these scholarships. And, these scholarships all have different applications and essays and things like that. So you got to find the scholarships, then you got to do all the work associated with applying. And, it's a crapshoot where they're like, there's thousands of other people applying for these same scholarships, right? So definitely having someone else helping you out a little bit can make the process a lot easier. What were some of the tips that you found, in your own research to be most effective? What did you guys do differently? Because, I remember I applied for scholarships when I was going to college. And yeah, I won some, didn't win others. But what did you find to be the most effective tools or techniques in your son's process?
Right. Well, I learned that there are several ways to write a scholarship essay, a good way and a bad way. And one of the good ways is you get the judge's attention right from the beginning. You don't start the scholarship with, oh, I need this scholarship money because. because that's what everybody does. You started out different. You do almost like a shocking statement to where, I never sleep in on Saturday mornings. This is totally off the top of my head here. Instead, I get up early every Saturday to go down to the children's hospital to volunteer because I want to become a pediatrician, and this is what I need to do. That's the kind of thing you'd start off an essay with instead of, I need this scholarship money because my parents are broke, we have no money, yada, yada, yada. So I learned the importance of a scholarship essay because that is huge. And then I learned little things like you never go over word count. If it's 500 words, you go right up to 500 as close as you can. You don't write 100 words when you can write 500 words, because the essay is the way for the judge to get into your head, to understand you in a better way. So use that time, use it efficiently, and use as much as you can to help the scholarship judge really get to know you and want to pick you as a scholarship winner. There's other little things like, the weight of the paper for scholarships that are printed out. You print out a nice heavy paper, it even feels different. I do local talks here, and I like to hand out my agenda on heavy paper. And the first thing I say to all the parents and the students is, feel the paper that I just gave you. Does it feel different? And I'm like, yeah, it's like this really nice heavy paper. Well, that's one super easy thing that you can do. And as a mom or dad, go buy a pack of heavy paper and print out all the applications on that nice heavy paper. Those are some of the little things that we did in the scholarship process. There's lots more, but those are a few of them.
That totally makes sense. I mean, like the first thing you said, that essay, making it personal, not just begging them like, please, I need money, so give me money. But, tell them a little bit about yourself, make them like you. That's, some of the things that, work out, really well for, the college essay too. It's a lot of the same stuff applies, I think. And then that paper thing, making that impression, it's a little bit of an investment to get the nicer paper, but, it shows that you're putting in the effort in it. It shows that you're serious about this. So
right. And,
definitely some valuable insights.
Right. About the investment, you can tell your kids, you spent 3 hours on this scholarship and maybe it's a, say, $600 scholarship. Well, you know what? That's like making $200 an hour if you win. So as far as talking to teenagers, you need to talk to them where they're going to listen, and money talks to teenagers. So I would say that to my son a lot. Hey, you know what? You could be making $200 an hour right now. So spend 15 minutes on this. And the other thing too is 15 minutes. You can say 15 minutes a day. After a few minutes, they're going to get into it, and they might spend an hour instead of 15 minutes. But if you only ask them for 15 minutes, they're way more apt to say, okay, I can do this because I can spend 15 minutes. So it's just kind of all about working with teenagers, kind of listening to what they need, giving them what they need. I'm a former teacher, so I kind of have that background working with students. But it really is just working with your kids to help them identify what they need from you and what you need from them in the process.
No, definitely. Making it more manageable, breaking it down is so key. One thing I'm really interested in, Monica, is, the idea of, like which scholarships are best to apply for. I mean, like, in that, in the scholarship money that you've won, are there certain types of scholarships that you found to be easier to apply for? I mean, there are some that I think are going to get, I look at the way it's advertised and I look at the organization offering the scholarship, and I think to myself, wow, like, do I even want to bother applying for this one, given that it's going to be, I'm going to be competing with a million other people. Like, it's kind of like, trying to win the lottery. Are there other scholarships where maybe applicants have a higher likelihood of winning, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. You want to apply for local scholarships first. And local is anything that your college or your high school counselor tells you about. Anything local, like from your credit union, your church, your bank, businesses that are local to your area. Those are the scholarships that are going to have less competition. Same thing as scholarships that are, say, just for students going into certain areas, because it's already narrowed down for you. But local scholarships are definitely the first avenue for anybody looking for scholarships.
Makes perfect sense. Smaller applicant pool. A lot of people might not even know about those scholarships. So definitely the ones that don't get advertised that much, and the ones that, people aren't necessarily going to find online even, maybe those are ones that applicants have a better shot at. Where can the high school students learn about these sorts of local scholarships?
Well, a really good tip that I like to do and really helps a lot of people is not only go to your high school website, because high school websites, they're so great now. There should be a counseling section, click on it, and there should be a section just for college scholarships. So, but don't only just go to the one of your high school, go to all the high schools in the area. Like where I live in a different county than my kids attend school. So there might be scholarships for one county that he could apply for, whereas another county he couldn't. But it kind of opened up the pool for us. And we found scholarships that we might not have known about if we had just stuck to his own high school website. So check other area websites and also college websites in your area. There might be some colleges close to you, and they have scholarships that are not just for their students, but for any student in the area.
Oh, wow, that totally makes sense. I mean, you guys definitely got lucky with the 2-county thing. But even aside from that, if you're in one town, you go to your own high school's website, and, the scholarships listed there are just kind of going to be whatever that school's guidance counselor, whoever's responsible for that, whatever they found and whatever they decided to list. But if you go to the next town over, look at their website, because obviously they're trying to help their students, but there's no reason that you can't benefit from what they listed there too. I mean, if I were, I was applying to college, before there were, serious high school websites, but these days, applicants are lucky, I would go to every high school in the county. I go to all their websites.
Right. I hop over to
you never know what'll be listed.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to find. Another really good tip for finding local scholarships is to look. This is a great time of year to do it too. You look in your newspaper, your local newspaper, and a lot of businesses, they use scholarships really as a form of advertising. I mean, sure, they'll give away $500 or $1,000, but what they really want are people going to their website, checking out what they have, being proud of what they do. Like, oh, great, wow, this company, they gave money to students. That must be a really good company, right? So you go to look for it, like a names in the news section or some sort of announcement section in your local newspaper. And a lot of them you're going to find this company gave away this much money to this student who went to this high school. And you write it down. Now, this is really not for really the seniors this year because they're already announcing their winner. But for people with younger students, start making a list of, oh, cool, my student's going to apply for this scholarship next year because I know it's out there, it's local. They gave it away this year. Chances are they're going to give it away next year.
That is such a good tip. Oh my God, I wish I had known about that when I was applying for scholarships. It's brilliant, because they're getting publicity for all these scholarships they've just given out now, but these are annual things. They're going to be running it again next year, most likely.
Right, most likely. Every so often you'll run into one that they don't do it again, but that's just life. You just look it up. They're not running it. Just check it off your list and go on to the next one.
That's brilliant. That's such a good tip. Wow, I love it. That's really a great one. Yeah, start looking now. Make that list. Look, next year you could be in that pool. Now, one thing I'm really curious about, I think about the number of scholarships that I would have to probably apply for to get $100,000, right? Or even a tenth of that, or a 20th of that, 5% of that. So, what are some tips you have for doing this efficiently? I mean, it can't be easy to write, you don't want to have to write 300 or 400 different essays for those different applications, given that your percentage odds for each individual one aren't that high, right?
Right, but you can reuse scholarship essays. That's another tip. A lot
Absolutely.
of them ask for the same sort of information. Why should we give this money to you? Why do you deserve it? What are your career plans? So you can use the same essay and just kind of tailor it, make sure the word count matches, make sure you put in the name of the right scholarship that you're applying for, and use it for multiple essays. So that is a big tip for kids who just are not good writers, and it's just very hard for them to write yet another scholarship essay. You can reuse the essays.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was my thought, the idea that you reuse the essays. And that actually, again, is kind of parallel to something I noticed in college applications with their essays, where you have the Common App 650 word essay, of course, but then you have a lot of schools with supplemental essays, but you can reuse a lot of those supplemental essays too. So that's definitely a key concept that I think is pretty valuable for folks. Just reuse those scholarship essays. I mean, why not? You can benefit from it multiple times. That's really good. Good to know. Thanks so much, Monica. Now, one thing I'm interested in is really delving into your story with helping your son a little bit and what his experience was like. He applies for all these scholarships, and in that initial period, maybe he wasn't winning so many when he was applying on his own, and then with your help, he ended up kind of staying organized, staying on top of it, doing a lot better. But you kind of helped him through the process, I gathered. So, what was one of the worst moments that you had in that process as you applied for all these scholarships?
Well, I do remember having to remind him a lot, and that's just, the nature of the beast, a high school senior. So I started texting him. I would say hey son, school's out in 20 minutes, so make sure you stop by the counseling office to pick up that letter of recommendation that they told us they would write for you. I would also change the deadline. If this scholarship is due, say June 15th, I would tell them it's due on June 1st. So we have everything ready by June 1st. And then for some reason, if we're waiting for something else that didn't quite come in, or he needed an extra day or two to write that essay, we would have that cushion. But I always changed the deadline for my son. He never really even knew, because I would be the one to put it all together. I would be the one to mail it off. Now, times have changed a little bit, and a lot of scholarships are now online. So there's lots of online tips that you could go through too to make your online scholarship better. There's not as many mailed in now. Unfortunately, because I love the whole mailing in process, there's so many things you can do. You can add to and make that application look better. But there are ways that parents can really help their kids in the process. Not only just the reminders, but being the one to read the essays, being the one to go through the application and make sure there's no missing boxes, that sort of thing.
Sure. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, definitely it's pretty sneaky to change the deadline on it, but, definitely there's no harm in having everything ready early, because you never know what'll happen at the last minute. I mean, even if their website is down or something due to the high volume of traffic they have, and you got to know what their email address is depending on how they do it, if they have some sort of form. For the ones that are, physical paper, aside from the weight of the paper, is there anything else unique about applying for one by mail or in paper, old school form rather than digital? Anything folks can do to make that stand out a little bit? I mean, you don't want to add perfume or add glitter, right? I've heard that annoys people.
Well, there are a ton of things that we did. And, a lot of these are really detailed in my scholarship guide, How to Win College Scholarships. But I can tell you a couple more. If it doesn't say you can't put anything else in there, we went ahead and added his scholarship resume in there. We made a nice copy of it. We put it in the folder. We added it to the paperwork. If he won an award from school that he was very proud of, we went and got a color copy, so it looked almost exactly like the original, and we would put that in there. You just have to be careful, because scholarship guidelines are so picky sometimes. And the first thing they want to do when they get your application is to get rid of the ones that don't win. So if it says right on there, only submit the essay, the application, and 2 letters of recommendation, don't send 3 letters of recommendation, because even though you think, but it'll make me sound so much better, to a scholarship judge, it says they don't follow directions. They're not a winner. So following directions is a really big one too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, reminding me of college application process, same thing, follow the rules to the T. As long as you're within those boundaries, they're not going to, you'll make it past that initial round, and then they'll actually read your essay. But yeah, follow the rules to the T. But I really like your tip about, that scholarship resume, just a resume, a little bit more about you, gives them a fuller picture. So if they're not saying no additional materials, yeah, don't go overboard, but maybe an extra page or 2 about something extra about yourself. Give them that fuller biographical picture. I think that's so important. So thanks for sharing that one, Monica. I'm really interested in, back to your story, any moments of inspiration or insight that you had along the way, along that journey you took with your son.
Well, I did realize at one point that this wasn't going to be just for 1 year. I realized, because a lot of his scholarships were not 4-year renewable scholarships, they were just 1-year only scholarships, that he would have to apply as he was in college. But it was great, because once he got to know his professors and got deeper into his major, he was able to ask, and of course, I told him, you keep asking, keep looking. He was able to find scholarships that were for his specific major and would apply for them through the school, through his major, and was able to keep winning as he went through college.
Oh wow! So it didn't even end when he got into college. He still was continuing to apply for more along the way.
Right. And some of them became bigger. He won a $7,000 Boeing scholarship his senior year. And he was so excited. I'll never forget. I was out on the cross country course with another kid, and I get this phone call, and he was so excited he won the scholarship. I didn't even know he had applied for it. But he saw the value of graduating debt-free, and so he was excited about that. He would work in the summer, but then he wouldn't work all through the school year because he had enough money to have school paid for and to have his rent paid for. So once kids really see the value of graduating debt-free, and they see their friends who have so much debt and older siblings and relatives, it really does make an impact on them.
Sure, that's amazing. I mean, wow, congratulations on that huge Boeing scholarship. That's awesome. But yeah, also one of the benefits is right there is not having to work during the school year when you have all your college classes and also want to be having fun.
Right. I'm not sure how much fun he had. He did have fun, but he was an aerospace engineering major and he did a lot of work.
Well, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons of value in graduating debt-free, obviously. You don't want to have that hang over you afterwards. So definitely key to get that scholarship money and reduce your student debt, if not eliminate it or before it even happens. So that's really amazing. Kudos to you on your success there.
Thank you.
I want to shift gears now and move into the lightning round, where I'm going to ask you some rapid-fire questions. You give me some rapid-fire responses. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. What's your number one piece of advice for the college scholarship process?
My number one piece of advice for that is to start right where you are. Even if your student is a high school senior right now, they've already been accepted into college, and all of a sudden you have this big bill, start looking for scholarships right now. It's not too late to win money. You might not win enough for next year, the whole thing, but you can learn enough about the process, win a few, and then have your student apply the following year. So start where you are. Even if our daughter is an 8th grader, start right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Never starts to start the process early. Never hurts to start the process early and get that valuable information. Start, doing what you can. Absolutely. Could you share with us one habit that you believe contributes to scholarship success?
Keeping writing samples of everything that students write that might be impressive or memories they might make, because you can pull from these things when writing your essays. A lot of kids see the blank piece of paper and think, I have no idea what I'm going to write. But if you have some really brilliant writing samples that you've saved, that they've written all through their school year, that will give them ideas and remind them of what a good writer they are. So that's just one habit that parents can help with that will contribute to their college scholarship success.
That's great. What's one online college scholarship resource that you absolutely love?
I love those big scholarship listing books. One of them is the Ultimate Scholarship Book 2015. Next year will be 2016 by Jen and Kelly Tanab. They just come out with a great book every single year that's updated, and parents can take that book anywhere. And a lot of these are apps too. You have smartphones now, so just take the app with you and look for scholarships wherever you are, waiting for your students from, say, soccer practice, or waiting for the commercial to be over when you're watching TV. Constantly be looking for scholarships and use these resources.
Absolutely. Those sound like great resources, and we'll link to that book in the show notes. So yeah, you've been such a wonderful guest. Thanks so much for being on the show, Monica. What are you up to these days?
Oh, I've been actually working on updating my scholarship guide. Like I said, the scholarship process is changing. There's so many online scholarships now that there are a lot of tips that I need to share. And I do write lots of articles and they are shared, but I'm updating my scholarship guide right now on my website and on Amazon just to make sure that all the latest tips and help is in there for students and their parents.
Absolutely. And it's never too early to start researching those scholarships. So definitely I encourage everyone listening out there, go to Monica's website, check out her book. We'll link to all of that in the show notes. Thanks so much for joining us again, Monica. Any final thoughts before you go?
No, you're welcome. Just don't be afraid of scholarships. Don't be afraid to help your student. It's okay for mom to write down the kid's first and last name in the application. That's not cheating. But don't do the essay for them, and don't do most of the work for them. So you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely. Such an inspirational story, Monica. Thank you again. Where can folks find you online?
My website is how2winsscholarships.com. And you can also find my ebook, How to Win College Scholarships, on Amazon.com.
Absolutely. I encourage everyone to check it out. Great resources. Thanks so much for joining us, Monica. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to College Admissions Toolbox. Head over to www.collegeadmissionstoolbox.com to get more free tools and resources that will help you get into the colleges of your dreams. When I first started working on my applications, I felt like I was competing with everyone at my school. There was this sense that top colleges would only take a few kids from each high school, and it made people afraid to help each other. So I went online and looked at message boards and forums to try and get help from others who were also going through the process. But I felt like a lot of them just had this kind of negative vibe. Everyone's accomplishments seemed more impressive than mine, and the people who posted were just kind of full of themselves. To be honest, it ended up making me feel bad about my chances, like I didn't have a shot at getting into my reach schools. So over the past few years, I've been working to try and change this. I've built an online forum where people actually help each other instead of putting each other down. And you can get advice from experts who've helped thousands of students get into top colleges. So check it out and feel free to post any questions you have at collegeadmissionstoolbox.com/forum.